Welcome to today's video. In this video, we're going to discuss the interrogation of Colonel Russell Williams, a high-ranking officer in the Canadian Forces who served as a commander of CFB Trenton, one of the largest military bases in Canada. The case received widespread media attention due to the shocking nature of the crimes and the fact that a respected military officer committed them. The case concerns the murder of two women, Corporal Marie-France Gumu and Jessica Lloyd. Marie-France was found dead in her bedroom, and Jessica was reported missing when she didn't show up for work and wasn't at home. The police were quick to respond to the situation. Investigators believe that some of the sexual assault cases which were under investigation in Tweed, Marie-France's murder and Jessica's disappearances were connected. So they launched a large-scale search. They used resources from CFB Trenton, authorized by Colonel Williams, including personnel and search and rescue aircraft. Despite the efforts of the police and many volunteers, they couldn't find any clues about Jessica for a whole week. However, witnesses mentioned seeing a silver SUV parked in a field near Jessica's house on the night she went missing. The police found tire tracks with a distinct pattern, which helped narrow the list of possible suspect vehicles, including a Nissan Pathfinder. On February 4th, Williams was stopped at a police checkpoint while officers were looking for drunk drivers. He asked questions related to the search for Jessica and inspected tires. Williams claimed he was in a hurry because his child was sick at home. During the brief conversation, the officers noticed that the tread on Williams' tires matched those in the field. That's when the police started watching Williams closely. He was later asked to go to Ottawa Police Headquarters at the request of Detective Sergeant Jim Smith, who wanted to tie up some loose ends. Detective Sergeant Jim Smith, a trained polygraph technician and senior investigation from the Policing Behavioral Science Unit. From the onset of the interrogation, we see that the senior detective intentionally refrains from addressing a highly respected military commander by his formal title. Smith intentionally set a more informal tone for the interview by doing this. This approach is often preferred to undermine a suspect's confidence, making it easier to detect signs of deception through body language and tone of voice.
For top secret clearance.
Oh, yeah? All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in.
By bringing the colonel down from his elevated position, cognitive stamina was reduced, making it harder for him to maintain a facade for a long time.
An investigation like this, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville way. And, you know, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast-forwarding things that we might normally take our time with, and that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon.
The detective explained the significance of the investigation and emphasized the urgency. They were treating Jessica's case as a high-profile one. He mentioned that they were fast-tracking the process to gather information promptly, expressing gratitude for the colonel's cooperation. Detective Smith conveyed that the interview would be thorough to minimize the need for repeated follow-ups. While offering a coffee, the detective ensured the colonel felt respected throughout the interview, ensuring that his rights would be explained.
Definitely, are they black?
Yeah, they're just black with sugar. All right, and again, like I said, this interview is going to be very thorough. But again, I have a simple rule when I talk to people. It's I'm sure you're the same way. I treat everybody with respect. I ask that they do the same for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by going through what your rights are, okay? Just like everybody else, okay?
He clarified that the colonel was not under arrest and could leave any time. However, subtly positioned between the colonel and the exit, a subconscious strategy was implemented to discourage him from leaving. This method is commonly employed in interrogations as a subliminal message, conveying to the subject that they have to go through the interrogator if they want to leave the room. While it's not admissible as evidence in court, it often serves as a psychological deterrent to the subject wanting to leave.
Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating. Okay, and essentially what's happened is over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences that, like I said, that we're looking into. 2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009, and very briefly, they were up in the Tweed area. They involved somebody entering 2 different women's houses in the evening hours and committing sexual acts.
He then addresses Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. The detective continues to gather pretext, asking the colonel about his movements and activities over the past 4 days, seeking initial alibi before intensifying the interrogation. The colonel mentions being at home most of the day on Friday due to stomach flu and spending time in Ottawa and Tweed. a village in Ontario, where he has a vacation home.
Friday on the day, I was. Friday on the day, I was at home most of the time. Most of the day, I had a sort of a stomach flu.
Okay. In Ottawa or Tweed?
Tweed.
In Tweed?
The detective requests more details about his schedule and when he arrived at his cottage. The colonel responds, mentioning his standard schedule in the office, including morning briefings and meetings, but doesn't provide specific times.
And how did you know Marie-France Coleman?
I'd only met her once. She was on a crew I was on just after I got to the base.
Okay. Do you know roughly when that happened?
That we were on the same crew?
The time you met her, the one time there, yeah?
It was soon after I got to the base, so I don't remember exactly, but I would say in the first couple of months, so August, September.
Okay.
Yeah.
He asks the colonel if he watches shows like CSI and if he understands the forensic capabilities portrayed. The detective then asks what the colonel would be willing to provide to help move past him in the investigation, mentioning fingerprints and blood samples.
Well, I'll just ask you this straight out. Given the types of crimes we're investigating, do you get much chance to watch television shows, CSI, things like that?
I do watch, I prefer Law and Order, but I do watch CSI occasionally, yes.
Okay. So you have an idea of, obviously, the forensic capabilities, things like that are out there. What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation?
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Footwear impressions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's what we're gonna ask you to do.
Okay.
All right. I told you when I came in here that I'm going to treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me. We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here. Okay. The trying to be as just rude as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up. Okay. And it's not issues that point away from you; it's issues that point at you. Okay. And I want you to see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is the footwear impression of the person who approached the rear of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January.
Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause essentially, when you're dealing with footwear impressions, we have a gentleman on the OPP who's basically world-renowned. His name is John Norman. And essentially, with footwear impressions, you're in a situation where you're pretty much in the area of fingerprints. Okay. So where is she?
Get a map.
Is she close to where she lives? I've got maps of that general area. Which town is she near? Why don't we start there? The question I'm going to have for you is, when they go there, and they'll be there shortly, they're going to find her.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
It's pretty wide open now, eh?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Well, do you want to work forwards or backwards?
Doesn't matter.
Why don't we start with Jessica?
Okay.
How does that start for you?
I saw her in her house on her treadmill. Wednesday night, I guess. Then I noticed she wasn't there Thursday. So I got into the house to look around. Then left. Noticed she'd come home. So I went back in. Through the back patio door while she was sleeping.
Okay. Marie-France Coleman.
There was an open window in the basement of her house when she was away. I went in there a couple of nights before she came home. Looked around. I went back in there late at night when she was at home. She was on the phone in her bedroom. She actually discovered me in the basement. She was trying to get her cat to come upstairs, and the cat was in the basement, had seen me and was fixated on me in the corner. She couldn't get the cat up, so she came downstairs to try and get the cat, and weren't sure why she came over to me. I guess the cat was staring at me, and she was wondering what the cat was staring at. The lights were on. So when she spotted me, I had the same flashlight. I subdued her. Tied her up, brought her upstairs. Strangled her later in the morning.
Why do you think these things happen?
The news of Williams' arrest and his twisted double life shocked those who knew him, and the public were equally horrified by the findings. Thanks to the valor of Detective Smith, Williams was charged with murder, sexual assault, and forcible confinement. He would later be charged with numerous counts of breaking and entering. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching.